Mark Martin wins the NASCAR Busch Series race at Charlotte on Saturday, while Tony Raines scores the Truck Series event at I-70. Highlights next on NASCAR RaceWeek. Hi, welcome to NASCAR Race Week, a huge Memorial weekend of racing in all kinds of NASCAR touring divisions to review for you over the next half hour. I'm Alan Bestwick. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina. Joining me to go through the events of the weekend, Phil Parsons, driver of the Duraloop Chevy. Phil, it wasn't good at Charlotte on Saturday. It started out looking like it might not be too bad, but what happened?
Well, how about those wings shutting out Dallas over the weekend? Wasn't that great? I mean,
yeah.
It wasn't a good day. We burned up a clutch, basically, and so we spent 60, 70 laps repairing that, and so obviously we were out of contention and relegated to a very, very poor finishing position. So we're embarrassed, and we've got to get back on track here soon.
Dover coming up this weekend. Good shot to get back to it. Let's start with the program with our review of the Busch Series race from Charlotte, the CarQuest 300. There you see some of the numbers on the race. 19 lead changes, very competitive event, and a somewhat deceiving margin of victory there, a little bit over 2 seconds for Mark Martin. Got to start by asking you about the build-up to the race, Phil. 9 cars crashed, basically, leading up to the green flag before we even started the race. Why all the accidents in practice and qualifying?
I've never seen the racetrack as slick as it was all week long. I guess since the last paving job, which was several years ago, we had extremely warm weather in the days leading up to and through, qualifying first and second days. So the only thing I can think of is we had a hard time getting a hold of the racetrack. We ran really good there last year. Both races came with essentially the same setup, and it wasn't even close to working. So we really had to adjust on our car to try to get a hold of it. We really struggled prior to qualifying. We literally changed 4 springs, 3 shocks, and moved our Panhard bar around before qualifying, and were able and ran the fastest lap of the week for us in qualifying. Most of like 90% of the guys slowed down qualifying because the track got hotter and hotter and hotter. So the only thing I can think of is it was just so slick because of the heat, and guys were having trouble getting a hold of it.
Let's take a look at the first of 5 cautions in the CarQuest 300. This is 8 laps into the event. See a little contact between Jeff Green and Elliott Sadler. Elliott's going to be in big trouble just a moment or so later when he comes around. Not even another full lap back around the racetrack.
Yeah, I saw that happen. I saw the dust from the outside wall, and that's me trying to sneak by Elliott on the inside, because you don't know if he's going to blow a right front tire out or whatever, so you want to try to get by him as soon as you can. Now, he's going to do his best to try to get down so he can get in the pits. You got the Crow Boy on the inside making it 3 wide. That left Shane Hall nowhere to go because Elliott was coming down, and that caused this wreck. But the guys got to be a little bit more aware of what's going on. The fact that he'd hit the wall, the spotter's got to say, hey, this 66 car's hit the wall. And but the boy didn't give Shane Hall any room to get by him, and that caused this melee here. Caught up several good cars, Buckshot's in there against Shane, and just a tough deal right here.
Here's what Buckshot saw coming into the smoke. It wasn't too good what he saw.
Sure wasn't.
First of 5 cautions rather in the event. That came 8 laps in. Matt Kenseth led most of the first 30 laps. Then Mark Martin, who started 6th, began to rumble. A lot of folks figured he'd be the man to beat in the race. Turned out he was.
Well, we always thought that Mark Martin is the guy to beat in these Busch races. He's been relatively quiet this year. But obviously he got back on track this race. Matt Kenseth ran awfully well there, but Mark had the measure of him right here and got the lead, which he pretty much would dominate for the majority of the race, I think. But I'll tell you, Bobby Labonte was awfully good, too. And set on the pole in the 44 car and ran awfully well.
There'll be a stretch that Bobby would trade the lead back and forth with Mark and Matt Kenseth and a couple of others. Mark would end up winning, but again, he did not get the win until there were 5 laps to go. We'll see that in a couple of minutes. A caution at the 1/4 point of the race brings all the leaders to pit road. It puts Kevin Schwantz on the tail end of the lead lap when we go back racing. Sets up a very close call for the eventual winner, Mark Martin, and a very tough break for Kevin Schwantz. Here you see Earnhardt Jr. chasing Mark, and they're behind the Schwantz car in turn 3.
It's one of those deals where he was able to get the jump on the restart. He was doing his best to try to stay in front of Mark in case the caution came out. The bad thing is he doesn't want to be the caution. The caution came out, but it was for Kevin. And Matt Kenseth actually got caught up in this. I think we're going to see this. I think he ran in the back of Dale Jr., who just bounced off the outside wall. So, took out a couple good cars there, and unfortunately for Kevin, it's not that he was in the wrong place. He was doing his best to try to get his lap back, but Mark was so much faster than him. He came up on him awfully quick and got into him, and around he went.
More trouble, lap 135 of 200. Jason Jarrett, who's been having a great run in the top 20, actually passed his dad at one point for a spot. Here he gets in trouble off turn 4.
Yeah, I had a good look at this. That's me going by him on the outside and with a yellow hood on my Durlou Chevrolet, and Jeff Purvis got run into from behind here. Had the wreck missed, going to miss him, saw it happening, but got run into from behind. I think, a deal like that, you see the smoke, you check up, you try to wave to the guys behind you. Sometimes, you're a little quicker than they are, and somebody runs in the back of you. We worry more about getting run into from behind than we do running into a wreck. That's how bad it is now, because you can see the wreck in front of you, you get slowed down, but the guys behind you, it just takes that much longer chain reaction deal for each car behind you to slow down.
Jimmy Spencer started 35th, worked his way forward through the first half of the race, and under the caution from that accident involving Jeff Purvis and Jason Jarrett, got 2 tires and took over the lead. He held off all the challengers until that puff of smoke with 5 to go.
Yeah, really tough break. Mark Martin said after the race that he was not going to be able to beat Jimmy Spencer. He didn't think, but Jimmy either broke a rocker arm, broke a valve spring, something like that. Just knocked enough horsepower out of that thing that was allowed Mark to get by him. With inside of 5 laps to go. Mark said there's no way he would have beat him.
Mark was not able to do anything with Jimmy, despite the fact that Jimmy only had 2 tires and Mark had 4. But there you see the little engine problem was the advantage that Martin needed, and he scored his first NASCAR Busch Series win of 1998 in the CarQuest 300 on Saturday. Finishing order from the event now. Joe Nemechek got by Spencer, picked up the 2nd spot. A solid 5th place for Matt Kenseth, recovering after the front-end damage he suffered in the crash with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Schwantz and the others earlier. And Bobby Labonte led 6 different times, had to settle for 6th. How about these numbers? 33rd to 8th for Elton Sawyer, 41st to 9th for Bobby Hillen. Let's hear now from Saturday's race winner.
Yeah, it looked like we were racing for 2nd there again. Jimmy had done a great job driving that race car, and the car was fast, and he was in front, and I couldn't do anything with him. And, here we turned up lucky again.
Matt Kenseth finished just a couple of spots ahead of Mike McLaughlin in the race, so he holds on, McLaughlin does, to a 1-point lead in the championship standings. Earnhardt Jr.'s troubles drop him 189 behind. The Busch Series is at Dover on Saturday. Coming up, we will take a look at the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race from I-70 Speedway in Odessa, Missouri Saturday. Tony Raines in victory lane. The how and why when NASCAR RaceWeek returns.
NASCAR Race Week is brought to you by Mobil 1 Synthetic Motor Oil. Nothing outperforms Mobil 1. And by First Plus Financial. At First Plus, you don't need equity, you just need a phone.
The Roehrig Racing Team celebrates a win. Tony Raines dominating the Yellow Freight 200 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Saturday at I-70 Speedway in Odessa, Missouri. Welcome back to NASCAR Race Week. We review that event now with Phil Parsons. Looking at some of the numbers on the day, you see 11 cautions consume nearly a quarter of the race. Not many lead changes, and a pretty healthy margin of victory for Raines on Saturday afternoon. Tony is the defending winner of the race. He got his first Truck Series win in this race 1 year ago. He started on the pole for this event, led the first 5 laps, but Rick Corelli got rolling and made a move by Raines for the race lead here.
Yeah, I don't know what Rick was thinking here. This is a Tony Raines benefit race.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Rick said, hey, I'm going to try to lead, but he made a nice move to get by Tony there and take the lead.
Lap 6 to lap 23 was the amount of time Corelli spent out front. Then Raines went back by him and was never headed from there to the checkered flag. Corelli stayed second until lap 88 when he and Brian Reffner got together racing for the 2nd spot.
It looked just tight racing there. Looked like Brian was in the back of Rick going in the corner there and turn him around. You go awfully fast at this racetrack. Here's another view from Mike Bliss's in-truck camera, and he turned him around and into the wall hard he went.
So Corelli was done, finished 32nd and last in the race. Tough break there after leading in the early going. At the midway point of the race, there was some concern about the track surface. It had begun to deteriorate a little bit during the race on Friday night for the NASCAR Slim Jim All-Pro cars that we'll show you highlights of a little later on. There you see Dennis Huth, NASCAR's Vice President for Administration, out on the surface. Kind of led to a little extended mid-race break. They did some work on the track surface Friday night, but that's always tough conditions there when something like that happens in the middle of a race weekend.
Boy, it really is. And you wouldn't think this racetrack you would have any trouble because it's so seasoned. I mean, you look at the racetrack, it looks like it's been there for 50 years, but unfortunately, we get so much grip now with these Goodyear tires. These Goodyear radials get so much grip that if you don't have a real good paving job, you get a little excess temperature, we're going to peel the racetrack up.
More rough stuff. Lap 169, Kevin Harvick and Greg Biffle are racing. Biffle's in the 50, Harvick's in the 75. Turn 3. One of them's going to come out on the short end of that stick.
Looks like a Saturday night type racing there. A guy kind of try to stick his nose up underneath him. Here's Greg Biffle behind him. Tries to go down below him, doesn't make it, and just runs in the back of him, much like Rick Corelli got taken out, and again, into the wall. Almost looks like a carbon copy of the wreck with Rick Corelli.
Harvick was 8th at the time, wound up 26th on the race. Biffle wound up 21st. That was the 9th caution of the race. Each time on a restart from all of those 9 cautions, the story was pretty much the same. Tony Raines was just very solid. He would get going quickly and actually pull away as the laps went on.
He just had an awesome truck. Again, they have their setup figured out. He actually won last year in a Dodge, this year in a Ford, so it doesn't matter what make of truck he runs, he's just going to win the race.
Tony Raines pulls away and scores his second NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series win. There you see the Pennzoil machine on the way to victory lane for Raines. Both victories, again, coming at that very same racetrack in successive years. A look at the finishing order from Saturday's race now. Joe Ruttman slipped by Mike Bliss late to get second spot. A second straight top 10 finish for Tony Roper. He came up with a great run again this week. The 27th tonight for rookie Wayne Anderson. That the top 10 for the Yellow Freight 200 Saturday. Championship standings, Sprague leading Hornaday now by 23 points. With Stacy Compton staying 3rd, Joe Ruttman moving up to 4th. Raines climbs from 9th to 6th, and Ron Barfield joins the top 10 this week. The trucks race at Watkins Glen, New York this coming Saturday. Quick word on the Busch Series cars at Dover this weekend. Phil, what do we expect?
Well, it's a great racetrack for us. We always seem to run well at Dover, although I said that about Charlotte too. So, but we've got to get our program back on track. We've been working awfully hard this week to try to get things back on track, and we're taking a car that we should have won the race with at Dover last September. So we're very optimistic. So hopefully we can come back next week and talk about some good stuff.
All right, we'll look for you Thursday night. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Phil Parsons with us. We'll take a break, come back on NASCAR Race Week, and jump into more of a busy Memorial Weekend's racing. Slim Jim All-Pro Cars, Southwest Tour, Winston West, and more, all coming up. David Hutto in victory lane at Charlotte Motor Speedway, winning the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series event there, the Easy Care 100. Welcome back to NASCAR Race Week. Alan Bestwick here looking at some of the highlights of NASCAR Touring Division action of the big Memorial Weekend racing. A week ago Wednesday, it was Hutto in victory lane at Charlotte. How he got there, let's look now.
Mike Swaim Jr. rolled into Charlotte atop the points and promptly won his 3rd pole of the season at a track where his father won a record 4 times. But after being late to the drivers' meeting, Swaim was forced to start from the back, giving the top spot to former series champ David Hutto, who ironically had finished dead last in the previous race with engine trouble. Swaim wasted no time trying to get back to the front, charging from 41st to 17th in just 5 laps. But this crash on lap 6 ended that impressive run and knocked Swaim out of the points lead. 3 more cars were knocked out on lap 14 when Chris Vanador, Donnie Neurenberger, and Brian Gandy tangled in turn 3. Meanwhile, Hutto, Ernie Yarborough, and Christian Elder were setting a torrid pace up front, keeping all types of fans on the edge of their seats. Hutto ran out of gas on lap 45 and coasted into the pits, giving the lead to Darrell Murray, who was about to make his own stop when Yarborough and Jake Hobgood collided on lap 46, bringing out the 3rd caution. Doc Brewer led the way at the restart with 16 to go, but Hutto quickly went by for the decisive pass and cruised to his 2nd victory this year.
We was a good bit behind. We had 2 DNFs prior to this race, and this put us back up there. So I'm looking forward to the season.
Murray finished 2nd, and Robert Huffman came home 3rd, giving him the points lead as the series heads to Tri-County Speedway this weekend. Freddie Query won his third Slim Jim All-Pro Series race in 7 tries this year by taking the checkered flag at Odessa, Missouri last Friday night. That came just 1 week after he secured Greased Lightning as a sponsor for the rest of the year. Query got some extra help from Jack Sprague's Craftsman Truck Series pit crew to earn the win over Derek Gilchrist, Ron Young, pole sitter Billy Bigley, and Mike Harmon. The victory helps extend Query's points lead as the All-Pro Series heads to Myrtle Beach June 13th.
More results now from the Memorial Weekend. Friday night in Madison, Wisconsin, it was Brian Hoppy who scored the win in the RE/MAX Challenge Series 125-lapper. He led all but the first 21 laps to score his first series win. Brian is from Madison, Wisconsin. Stafford Springs, Connecticut, Friday night, Featherlight Modified Series. Defending champ Mike Stefanik led every lap in winning that race. It was his third straight win in the Featherlight Modified Series. Career bests for Kopech and Blewett, the third there at Stafford Friday night. Championship standings, Stefanik has a very big lead. He has really done well so far early in the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series. Busch All-Star Series race from Adams County, Iowa, Saturday night, rained out. It has been rescheduled for this Saturday, May the 30th, so they'll have to re-rack that one and go again in Adams County, Iowa, after Mother Nature intervened there. Lots more to show you still on NASCAR Race Week. More highlights, more action for you. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
This driver fought back from a lap down to earn his second career Busch Series victory at Dover Downs on September 16, 1995, in the number 25 Big Johnson Chevrolet. Can you name him? The winner of the MVNA 200 at Dover in September of 1995 was Johnny Rumley. Ironically, Rumley had failed to make the race at Richmond just 1 week earlier.
Welcome back to NASCAR Race Week. More action from Memorial Weekend now, starting with the Featherlight Southwest Series.
Frank Adamo won the Bud Pole Award for the Coors Memorial Day 100, but when he flipped the coin for the field inversion, he put points leader M.K. Kahnke on the point, who had qualified 8th. Problem started right from the drop of the green flag when Rod Johnson nearly lost it from the second starting spot, which caused the field to check up. Doug McCown hit the wall first, with Jim Pettit, Kenny Shepard, and Dick Shepard becoming victims of the chain reaction. M.K. Kahnke led the single-file field to the restart on lap 8, with Rod Johnson in second, and that's how they stayed for most of the event. This spin, involving the 42 of Pat Patterson and Ray Lawson in the 06, brought out the 4th yellow flag of the night. The field was to restart at the halfway point, but Rod Johnson got into the back of Kahnke and the restart was waved off. Johnson apologized for the incident. The restart did take place on lap 55 with Kahnke in the top spot and with no apparent damage. Kahnke and Johnson would continue to show the way until Johnson got together with the lap car Frank Adamo going into turn 2. Adamo would get the black flag as the race stayed green with Kahnke still in charge of the lead. But Matt Crafton in the 46 had been working his way through the pack and got by Steve Portingay for second. Ray Lawson's spin on the front stretch brought out the 5th and final caution of the evening on lap 83. Kahnke and Crafton set up the showdown after the final restart, with Crafton trying to close the gap. Crafton got on the inside of Kahnke in turn 2 on the white flag lap, and they were side by side all the way until the slower car of Keith Spangler got in Crafton's way. And M.K. Kahnke went on to take the checkers after leading all 100 laps for his second win this season. Matt Crafton would have to settle for second, with Portingay finishing 3rd. Kahnke adds to his point lead as he has finished in the top 5 in all 5 races this season. The Featherlight Southwest Series races next this weekend in Colorado.
Tom Carey earned his first Busch North Series pole of the season at Holland International Speedway, but had to start 3rd after the traditional redraw inverted the top qualifiers. That gave the top spot to Eric Bodine in the 21, with 97 Rookie of the Year Tracy Gordon starting 2nd in the 14. The first caution ended the day for Brad Layton, who came to Holland 2nd in the points. It also proved costly for 96 Series champ Dave Dion, who was looking for his 4th straight win at this high-banked short track. Back up front, Bodine held the lead as Carey began to make his move, getting by Gordon for 2nd, and finally taking the lead on lap 27. Another caution came out for a crash involving 3-time former series champ Jamie Obey before the halfway mark. Obey would finish a lap down in 15th. New Hampshire winner Kelly Moore was quietly working toward a top 5 finish until contact with Mike Olson sent him spinning, but Moore held on for a 10th place run. From there, Carey was dominant in earning his 2nd win in 4 races this season.
Best part about this whole thing is the fans. This place is just like Thunder Road, man. Fans walking around, love to sign autographs. Fans keeps everybody pumped up. I mean, I got a good crew, had a good car tonight, had a good qualifying. That's a big part of it. Didn't have to use the car up, and we ended up in the winner's circle. It's just a momentum thing. This year's been a momentum deal, and if we can stay on top of it, we'll be in good shape.
Gordon finished second ahead of Jeff Berry and 97 Series champ Mike Stefanik. Carey leads the championship hunt after finishing in the top 5 in every race this year, but Stefanik is less than 100 points back as the series heads to Beach Ridge Motor Speedway in Scarborough, Maine, June 13th.
All right, let's check out results now from the Busch All-Star Series race. Sunday night, Omaha, Nebraska. Ray Gus Jr., the Milan, Illinois veteran, took the win. Race was delayed 2.5 hours by rain, but they got it done, and Gus Jr. scored the victory in Nebraska. After the Sunday race in Omaha, the Busch All-Star Series moved on to West Liberty, Iowa. Ryan Dolan, second-generation driver from Lisbon, Iowa, got his first ever series win on Monday in that event. There you see the rundown from the Budweiser 50. Championship standings now. Ray Gus Jr. leads 57 points up on Steve Kosiski for the Busch All-Star Series. More action. Bakersfield, California, Winston West Series. Defending champ Butch Gilliland rallied back from a lap down to win, holding off Gary Smith in the final circuits round. It was Gilliland's second victory of the season. Championship standings. Sean Woodside takes over the top spot. Kevin Harvick slips back to second, 10 points between the two. Second part of the weekend twin bill for the RE/MAX Challenge Series was the Spring Nationals on Monday. Steve Holzhausen, veteran racer, took the win over Steve Carlson. Scott Hansen led the early going, wound up finishing 10th. And the championship standings for the RE/MAX Challenge Series after the event in Kaukauna on Monday. We are back to take a look at what's up on the calendar this weekend in NASCAR Touring Division competition. In just a moment, stick around. NASCAR Race Week's right back.
What's the hottest NASCAR publication you need to get your hands on every week? It's NASCAR Winston Cup Scene, America's #1 source for timely, in-depth coverage of Winston Cup, Busch, and the Craftsman Truck Series. Inside, you'll find the latest news, award-winning color photography, features, personality profiles, point standings, and much more. To get a hold of your own copy, call 1-800-WCC.
For all the news in NASCAR racing, you've got to read NASCAR Winston Cup Scene.
Call now to subscribe. Hey, NASCAR Race Week fans, this is your chance to nominate your local NASCAR Racetrack Star of the Week. Send us a photo along with the name and reason why your local driver should be our Star of the Week. Maybe they have several track championships, won 5 events in a row, or perhaps they just won their first race ever. And for helping us show off your local talent, we'll send you this NASCAR 50th anniversary shirt and cap from Chase Authentics. The authentic trackside apparel of NASCAR is now available at NASCAR specialty stores and leading department stores everywhere. Send the photo and information to NASCAR Race Week. Post Office Box 240-417, Charlotte, North Carolina 28224.
We start showing off our stars of the week next week on the program. Hope that you have gotten your submission into us. Look forward to bragging on some of the local heroes of Saturday night short track racing around the United States. All right, let's check out what's on the calendar this weekend. NASCAR Touring Division competition begins Friday night. It is Hudson, North Carolina for the Good East Dash Series, Tri-County Speedway there. Saturday, busy day. Trucks on the road course at Watkins Glen, New York. Also Saturday, the modifieds with them at Watkins Glen. The Busch Series on the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. And some action out west. Rivestas Northwest Series in Tenino, Washington. And Colorado National Speedway outside of Denver for the Fender Light Southwest Series. We will review all of that action next Thursday, 7:30 Eastern Time. NASCAR Race Week here on Speedvision. Look for us then. I'm Alan Bestwick. See ya.